Ladies, this one's going to be one that you really want to tune into. As you know, one of the missions of this podcast and the reason that I'm working so closely with Britnie Turner is so that she can be not only a force for good, but a motivating, life-altering, enriching force for you, a leader, a voice. And in this episode, she's going to discuss one of her personal limiting beliefs for becoming a billionaire. You might want to keep listening. You just ended with a very profound statement, something that rocks my world. Britnie, you're talking about letting your light shine. In Return to Love, the groundbreaking book by Marianne Williamson, she says, it is not our darkness that we are afraid of. It is our light. It's not our fear that holds us back. It's that we are successful beyond all measure. That is your greatest fear. Insane. Goosebumps every time. My favorite quote.
Why? Why? Not why does it give you goosebumps?
Yeah,
why is it our light? Why is it our success beyond measure that makes us afraid, in your opinion?
Yes. And one of those causes, I believe, and you kind of touched on it in the last episode, is that humility standpoint. I think we're taught, I think we have these beliefs that if we achieve too much, we change. If we achieve to a certain level, make a certain amount of money, have a certain amount of fame or success, that we become greedy, that we become corrupt, that we're no longer humble, that we're no longer a servant of God, that we're no longer loving and generous. But
going to be loved by the ones we actually want to be loved by.
We're just a selfish being. And I think if we're taught that long enough, people are like, yeah, I don't want to be that. So I don't want to do the things that are in my mind. I would just rather not. Right? The richest place in the world is the graveyard, because people die with their dreams and their hearts because they don't want to achieve them, because subconsciously all that achievement will lead to their ruin.
Oh my gosh.
What?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing what limiting beliefs will do, or just twisted beliefs. So it's important, like we said, to write those down. What are you so afraid of, so you can observe them and choose to change them? And look at your crazy is what I say all the time.
Yeah.
Look at your own crazy.
Face it.
Look at that. Why is that not true? It's not true that you are not qualified to teach this or that. Or it's not true that no one can gain value from what you have to say. It's not true. That doesn't make any sense. And when I talk to a lot of ladies and they're like, well, it's just not ready yet. It's not that. I don't have anything to talk about. And I say, do you wish you had known what you would tell that next person or the person you're coaching or teaching or writing about? Well, yeah. Well, what would that have done for your life? Would have got me through it so much faster. I would have been, I wouldn't have had that. I wouldn't have had the suicidal thoughts, like all the things. And I said, then why do you think that advice wouldn't be valuable to somebody else? Because again, whatever you've overcome is a gift.
Yep.
You have the checklist. How do you overcome, you said in the last episode that you drank and drove.
Yeah.
How did you beat that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, to answer that question, I would come up with a compelling question for the future on, is this a good idea or not? And if so, why not? So in essence, the why is it not true? Okay, so if I ask the question, why is it not true that eventually I'll get caught and go to jail and ruin someone's life? Oh, wait a minute. It is. It is very true. Yeah. Therefore, should not do it. But if you can come up with a limiting belief, if you can come up with, if I achieve too much fame, success, notoriety, that I am now no longer humble, and people will say, you're a greedy person, you're not humble. And I have the ability to go, is that true or not? So let me start now by asking the question, is it true? And saying out loud all the reasons why I personally feel like it's not true. Because if I'm in that situation and I'm still loving, I'm still generous, I'm still helping, and I'm still contributing, and I'm still offering and providing and giving, does that make me a greedy person? Does it truly make me not humble if I am on my knees helping someone at that moment when they need it most? No. So therefore, if it's not true, then it's a limiting belief. So let's move on. Let's progress forward. Let's, at that moment in time, take up a stand internally and go, yeah, it's not. So keep going.
I love that. And it may not be your limiting belief until you give it energy.
Yes.
It might be somebody else's limiting belief. Again, question where these things are coming from. Is this from a parent? Is this from a book? Is this from your childhood church? Where'd it come from?
Mm-hmm.
And then decide, is this now a truth you want to continue to hold on to? A
Right.
truth.
Right.
Or a lie.
Yes. No, hands down. And it's very crucial, magnificently so, to spend time doing this exercise ever so often, because it is our light that most frightens us. Like that power. Because we don't know. Many people who find themselves in a position of uncomfort or unfamiliarity, it's because we don't know how great we can really be. Because we know how many people we can impact now. We know how poor we can be now. We know what it feels like and it tastes like. But really what we're saying is that we are afraid of the unknown. We are afraid of something that we haven't experienced yet. And if I do make $1 million in a day, I don't know how that will impact me because I'm afraid of that unknown. So it's easier for me just to not exceed it, not achieve it, not obtain it, not even go after it. It's less painful to just stay where I'm at.
So true.
Isn't it?
I literally am like, I've written this down too. But I'm on track to be a billionaire. I am. I know I am. I'm doing the right things. I'm thinking the right things. I've got the right activities. I've got the right friends. Like the things are in place. But I literally, as you're saying that, imagined the day I became a billionaire. And the first thought was, I'll lose my relationship. With the guy I'm engaged to. I literally, like, I'll probably be married by then, but
Yeah.
I imagined in my head that day he would turn on me. Because he'd be too insecure. Because every person has told me, as a woman, Britnie, you can't make it big because you're going to make the man insecure. Like, they've all said that. It's the most reoccurring advice I get. Men are too insecure. Sorry, you're intimidating, blah, blah, blah. Does it actually make sense? That the reason I would want to become a billionaire is to help more people, but does it actually make sense that I should hide that and or never do that because I will not be loved, whether or not it is true that he would leave me? Does that make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense. It's so intriguing. I'm so thrilled that you are one of the few dozen women in the world in your position, number one. But number two, the fact that you are a female gives me totally different perspective because I have never in my life thought about that piece of it.
It's tied in my head.
Yes, because
tied.
if I am a successful billionaire male and I have a wife, perfectly fine. They might say, oh, she's with him for the money.
Probably more than fine.
Yeah. But she's with him for the money. It won't even be an issue. Like, that's the worst thing that people would say. But no one would ever say, like, to me, that what you just mentioned. And that is a wild accusation and a belief that you probably have heard, read, thought of, or picked up somewhere.
Over and over again.
And it's a limiting belief when you go, oh my gosh, if I receive this or have this, it's going to cause that relationship to end.
And it's even more of a very strong belief if it's happened before.
Yes.
How many men do you think, and the very few guys that I've dated, have resented me for winning the awards, for getting more attention, for having more money than them, for all of them. So it's like recurring. You've got enough proof. Why should I believe the future would be any different? So you have to own that. You have to own that. And you have to, in faith, like, own that won't be that way. And even if it is, then it wasn't love. Right. What is love?
Right.
Anyway. So in this little daydream, the day I became a billionaire, I lost the love. This is just happening. And so I didn't do it. I stayed in nobody ever knows how much money I have. I'm the rawest, realest person ever. I still clean up the trash and the dog poo, walking around the properties. Like, you got to do whatever it takes. So no one ever guesses because I'm not snobby.
Yeah.
And as in my head, as long as I struggle, I'll be loved. How messed up is that? This is happening live, people.
Yeah.
Britney's messed up thoughts.
Yeah, this is a present, open discussion from the subconscious coming out.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Gotta drop it like it's hot, though.
Because that is real.
Well, once you see it, you can change it, though. So now that I see it, I can change that. I can fix this. No, this is why this relationship will last. This is why we're connected. This is why, we have a future together, whether or not we have any money.
Yeah,
whether we have all the money or no money.
Right.
And you have to keep that primary. So I can't project, as soon as this happens, he'll change. As soon as this happens, he'll change, anyway.
No, what I love about that is you bring it out, and you mentioned if you can see it, now you have the ability to change it. You have the ability to alter it. And by seeing it, it means literally bring it out into the open, put pen to paper, say it out loud, risk embarrassing yourself, which you could never do in front of me, by the way, ever. But there's so many people listening to this, hundreds of thousands all over the world. And now women can go, oh my God, she is so right. And they now have an ability to make that shift where they can go, all right, I have a choice. I, as a female, want to make so much money so I can help so many people. Mm-hmm. And if I'm making more money with my husband, how can I ensure that this relationship sounds and stays rock solid? And instead of creating that future, that affirmation that he will leave me, how can I start changing that now? Bring it up, see it, change it, alter it, fix it, update it, and then repeat that so you can start building it now.
Right.
And creating that future now.
I love that.
That's so huge, Britney.
You got to see it, guys.
Yes.
Take the time to write it down.
Dang.
I've had so many people that I've coached one-on-one. And specifically, there's this one couple, amazing man, a doctor, was in school, and his wife was pregnant. And for some reason, while he was in school, he got sick and almost died.
Wow.
And he was so terrified that he was going to leave his wife and baby with no money that he promised himself he'd never do that. So works, and graduates, becomes a doctor, almost dies again when she's pregnant with their second child. Yeah.
What?
It's a weird thing. So they now have 2 kids. He lives and he works 90 hours a week. His kids have grown up, graduated, they're in college, and she's like a shell of a person because she's all alone. She never sees him. And we went through all these different streams of income and how much he makes per hour to do what he does. And we found on one of these streams of income that he's spending all these hours on, he only makes $45 an hour. Other ones are like $500, She makes over $1,000 an hour doing like Airbnb. She is like 5 times some of his incomes.
Right.
And I said, so I can pay you right now $45 to not have breakfast with your wife. And he goes, no. I said, you're doing that every day.
Oh, shoot.
And then he blamed it on the country they're from.
How so? What was the excuse?
I'm going to just pick a country so that it doesn't sound racist. Well, we're Indian. So, yeah, that's the way we're raised. So, you can see it. You can see that doesn't make sense. You can see that's crazy. You have $900,000 in the bank.
Right.
And you're working 90 hours a week. Your kids aren't there. You have no relationship with anybody in your family. And you did all of this because you love them. The whole root of this was for good. And you're in a place you don't have to do this anymore. Yeah, but we're Indian. So what is the thing? I'm a woman. I can't be truly successful and have my husband not secretly cheat on me behind the shadows because I'm too high powered or I'm too much, blah, blah, blah. What is the thing that you're so afraid of or that you're hiding behind? Is it your race? Is it your gender? Is it your height? Is it your age? What is the dumb crap that's holding you back from walking in your highest light? And when you see it, you can change it. So we made 3 tweaks and saved him 30 hours a week. A week. Imagine getting 30 hours back in your week. And he only lost $40,000 a year.
Amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
And gave up $40,000 an entire year to do that.
And we showed if we put just a little more attention on these 2 things, he'd make 80,000.
Question, are we talking more in the future about optimizing your time?
Oh, yeah. So crucial.
Wow, interesting.
Number one gift.
That is it.
You give yourself.
Yes. Yes, for sure. And it is, again, making all of that real, taking it down and figuring out some science, figuring out some math. And I cannot wait to talk about that because I'm going to totally crush that episode because I try to value myself as a master of time. I try to always tell myself there's plenty of time. I try to always be on time. I try to always manage my day, week, month so that, everyone always says that I'm busy. And that's always something that I always hear from people like, oh, you're so busy, you'll probably never do this. And I don't reply, I don't say anything, but in my brain, I'm like, no, dude, I'm not busy, man. I'm just scheduled. I'm just scheduled.
Yeah. I do whatever I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you're important to me, you will get X, Y, Z in X amount of time. No questions asked. Always. And again, those priorities that you mentioned about having breakfast or spending time, knowing that you are getting paid, because how long does breakfast take? It doesn't even take an hour. Mm-mm. So you're like, I'm paying you $45 to miss breakfast. Is like, not really. Because, maybe it's only 30 minutes, so you're spending even less money for less time.
She's the most important thing in the world to me. Do your actions reflect that?
Yeah, not having breakfast with you.
For $45.
Wow. And that's impressive that you were able to just say that to them. And they're like, oh, my God. That had to be just the greatest coaching session of all time.
It was the first one we did.
Whoa. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And when you're talking about that and when we address this light, right, the ability to grow, these are the pieces of the puzzle that you have to figure out now. Mm-hmm. Because, true story, a lot of people don't currently feel like they have enough time, enough foundation, and enough love. So that if they do expand, they're going to potentially and properly state that everything that I have will crumble because it's not a strong enough foundation.
Right. And you're a responsible human being, so you don't want to do that. And you want to be able to keep your word,
Yeah.
But it's so interesting when you can take that aerial view of your life and recognize, why did you do this in the first place? Because I love my family.
Right.
Because I love my kids and I want them to have a good life and I want to have a relationship with them. So therefore, I'm going to work so hard so that I can. And then at the end of your life, they resent you because you were never there for them, because you never stepped back and chose to optimize the money you did have just sitting in a savings account. How many people have you met like that, that feel like they can't go on vacation because they don't have enough money or they're not millionaires?
So many people. And a lot of them have more cash in a bank account than I do.
Yeah.
Intentionally so. But still, it's an incredible, incredible thing. And that's because many people in that situation aren't optimizing their time. They haven't learned how to learn. They haven't started creating building blocks and foundations. And I hope those people, if you find yourself in that situation or even close to it, continue to listen to the next few episodes because we're going to be covering those things.
Right.
We're going to be going down very, very specific paths on how to optimize your time. Money 101, right? How cash flow works, how you can start networking. And as we go through all these, you can start creating this optimization that allows you to scale and move into your light so that your foundation is strong and you have the ability to truly achieve that whole life success that we talked about.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about what to save, what to invest, when to do that, because we want you to be wise stewards so you can spend that time with your family.
Yeah.
You don't get to the end and realize, I had enough and I didn't do the right things with it.
Right.
I didn't move it around and I lost everything I cared about the most. That's not going to be your story.
Yeah. How much are we charging for that? Like that should be...
Hundreds of millions.
Of dollars?
Wait, we're not?
Oh, it's free?
What?
It's right here? Broke to Woke?
Who got that wrong?
Keep listening. Thanks for being here. If you like what you're learning, we are mentioning people, we are mentioning network, we're mentioning circles and tribes. Go to broketowoke.com so that you can be in the circle and the tribe that we created. Britnie and I have come together. She has formed G-Force Mastermind. Please be a part of it. It will change your life. You will become a better person. You'll become a force for good entrepreneur, and you will impact lives everywhere. broketowoke.com, G-Force Mastermind. We will see you there.